Well, following a week of heated debate over climate policy, opposition leader Peter Dutton has declared he would scrap Labor's 2030 emissions targets if it helped families during the cost of living crisis.
But why not go all the way and scrap net zero completely? Federal Senator Matt Canavan and New South Wales Green Abigail Boyd are going head to head. Well, thanks, Matt and Abigail, for joining us. Matt, let me start with you. Should we just scrap net zero completely? What do you say?
Yeah, I think we should, because it's costing Australian families far too much, and it's not helping the environment, because no country in the world is on target to meet their Paris commitments. After nearly a decade now of the agreement, it's clearly been a complete dud. Not only are no countries meeting it, global carbon emissions are now higher than when the Paris Agreement was signed. Indeed, they're at record levels now, boosting back from the pandemic. And all of this is just costing Australian families a lot of money, because these climate targets are clearly influencing how we invest in energy sources, which are clearly proving to be much more expensive than promised. We were promised a $275 cut by the Prime Minister in our power bill, and our power bills just keep going up and up and up. And keep in mind how important energy is. It's not just it flowing through to your quarterly power bill. It is then going through embodied to almost every product in your grocery store, because almost all of those products require energy for their production or their delivery to the store. And the higher your energy prices are, the higher your grocery bills are going to be too. So, look, it's high time we join the rest of the world now who are ignoring these agreements, including countries like the US, which continue to produce record amounts of oil. Let's get on with it and focus on our own country first.
Abigail, you clearly disagree.
Yeah, it was good to let Matt get all of that off of his chest. What I heard is that he thinks we're a nation of quitters, that if something's too hard, we're just going to give up and not try, even though it's something as important as climate. That he thinks Australians are a bit stupid and don't realise that actually it's not renewables that is keeping energy prices high. It's actually the price gouging of the massive energy companies. But also that he's quite happy for us on the international stage to be seen as a bit dodgy, as not really holding on to, not holding by our agreements. So, wants to present us as a bunch of dodgy Aussies. We're only just repairing our reputation after the coalition government walked out on that submarine deal. Remember, we were called liars? The impact that has on trade negotiations, on our diplomatic efforts, that would tank our economy if we get that sort of bad reputation. Like, it's nonsense.
So what's happening now? What's happening now? I mean, it's small solace for families that can't pay their bills that, people in overseas capitals think we're great people.
Yeah.
I mean, what does that mean for Australian families? And we're constantly told somehow that they're constantly told that somehow what we do here in this country is going to stop cyclones and fires and floods. I mean, this is the biggest lie we're told.
Yeah,
it's told by politicians who don't want to do the hard jobs, don't want to do the hard work of fixing roads, doing things they can actually achieve.
All right,
but it's not in your power, Abigail, it's not in my power to stop the weather, to change the weather. That's not something we can do.
Two things
but we're constantly promised that you can.
The first one is energy prices. So back in 2022, when energy prices were an all-time high, and you and your party voted against bill relief at the end of 2022, we've actually seen wholesale energy prices have come down more than 2/3 in 2 years.
That's not what people pay.
No, because what people pay is what the energy companies are charging them. And that's on your party and your policies when you were in government that's allowed that price gouging. We had Origin Energy made over $1 billion in just the last 6 months of last year, because they are price gouging. And so if you actually cared about energy prices, you would be standing up for the fossil fuel industry and the energy companies and actually standing up for the people of Australia.
But hang on. Origin Energy and all of those energy companies are massive supporters of renewable energy.
Yeah,
so there's some truth in what you're saying, Abigail, because what happens here is those energy companies are backing renewable energy because renewable energy shorts the market, means there's a shortage of supply, and it gives them the scope to do that price gouging.
True.
We didn't have this price gouging when we had abundant sources. When we had abundant sources of coal and gas, our electricity prices were almost a third of what they are now.
The more stable our prices will be. The problem here is not renewables. We're playing great catch up after the mess that the coalition left when it was in government. And what we have ended up with now is a nation that is willing and ready to move towards 100% renewables, and they're just bored of the coalition coming out with this nonsense.
Go ahead,
a very simple question. Abigail, name me a country in the world that has invested in wind and solar, not hydro, wind and solar, and reduced their electricity prices. The countries have been doing this now for 2 decades. There should be enough time. Name me one country that's achieved that.
There are plenty of countries that have reduced their emissions. As you well know, you tell me which country...
People care about prices.
No, you tell me which... Yeah, prices we've just talked about. It's nothing to do with renewables. It's to do with energy companies gouging that you keep letting them do. And again, the coalition government presided over a decade of privatisation of our energy assets.
Let me ask you this, Abigail. You said that Australia is ready to move to 100% renewables. When you say Australia is ready, who do you mean exactly?
I mean, people on the ground. So if you go and speak to the hunter communities, for instance, and you talk to them about are they ready for transition, they absolutely are. They just need the government to get on board. When you have business, as well as these energy companies, telling the coalition that abandoning the 2030 target is a bad idea, I think that, you know, in addition to everybody else who can see the writing on the wall, from what Matt's just said, he's quite happy to let the planet burn, from what I can hear, because he thinks that Australians aren't up to the task of building sufficient renewables in time, and I think they are. I think Australians are very resourceful.
Planet burn?
Well, clearly I'm not, and I don't think it is going to burn. But regardless, to come back to the fact, Abigail, that we can't, no matter what we do, no matter what we do, it's not going to change that. I mean, Australia on its own, and I'm just putting the facts there again.
Which brings you back to being a
that no country in the world's on track. No country's on the world. Well, I care about results. I just care about results. I mean, I do agree with getting out of bad deals. This is this is a bad deal. Get out of it. When you find yourself in a bad deal, you get out of it.
Do you? You just quit and you...
It's been a terrible deal for our country.
I'm sorry, I did agree to this earlier, but now I'm just changing my mind and I'm negging on the deal.
Well, you know what? I really love having you two on because we could keep going all night, but unfortunately, we've run out of time on that one. Abigail Boyd, Matt Canavan, always good to have you both on. We like a fired-up debate, don't we?
Yeah, we appreciate you joining us. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.